Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Flight HQ, the Volleyball Podcast. With me, I have the absolute OG, the co-creator of Flight Academy, Mr. Chip Blaney. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Finally got you here.
Yeah.
I'm a little warm, a little hot. I had to, carry some people over here. So, I'm always carrying people on my back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Just playing. Kidding. I'm not really. I am.
You didn't have to look at her while you said
I know.
that.
Yeah. I was going to get a backhand here in just a second. We have a large studio audience inside the studio, so
Yes.
that's why I'm looking at it. All these lights and stuff is making me hot. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Glad you're able to make it. Finally, I've been calling your people. I've been making reservations to get you to come on over here. Reservations? No, it's scheduling.
Yeah, we penciled you in.
You penciled. Thank you. I appreciate it. My people called your people.
Yeah.
My person called your person.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah. And said it was okay for you to come over here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get rolling. So the two questions, and I know you're watching, you cheated. So you and I came up with the whole. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We came up. So your call sign. What would your call sign be?
I think I got to go with Chipper, and I know that's one from the movie.
Right.
But I mean, it fits so perfectly. It's got to be Chipper.
Right. It does, but I think it's a little too obvious. So
Okay.
let me put you on the spot. You can use Chipper.
I think if I had to pick another one, I'd pick something like Joker. It's got to have a sound. It's got to sound good phonetically, right? It's got to have like an R or an S or a V.
Chipper.
Yeah, exactly. But like
Pirate.
Joker, yeah.
I'm not gonna go there. Hey, Joker. No.
Yeah.
Stop.
Shia LaBeouf.
I'm not doing that. Okay, so what about split step? Let's get into that. So everybody gives me a hard time. I don't know why I became the target of this thing. I think I said one thing one time, and all you guys just take that stuff and run with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, the famous coaches, text chat that we have, and I got to make a new one since we have new coaches this year. Yeah. Everybody loves to give me a hard time, and that's fine. I can take it.
You also give it too.
Never.
You're the instigator. You stir the pot, and then we all follow.
I do.
Yes.
And I deserve it. It's fine. So, split step. Tell me about it.
I mean, I'm kind of neutral on it. Honestly, I think there's benefits to it. I think if it's done right, it's an effective move, especially at a faster tempo.
Yeah.
Level. But I think ultimately it's ineffective if you can't read and react effectively. I think it's great for lateral movement. I think it's great for quick reactions to the ball. But if you're still not seeing through the net, seeing the hitter, seeing the server, and you're not making a good read or reaction,
right,
there's no point in the split step.
Correct. I agree, and it could throw your timing off, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to be an athlete.
Yeah.
In order to do that, but of course, all athletes play volleyball, right?
Yeah.
But I also think there's a certain age for it.
Sure, and it might even be level. It might. I mean, if you have a particularly good 13 or 14-year-old, maybe they're ready for it. I think it was Manny that brought it up. I think it's a natural move you see in multiple sports. I remember learning about it when I played baseball. As an infielder, that was a big thing that I was taught. So it's something you see universally across sports, and I think there's definitely benefit to it. And it's maybe with a particular player or particular level team, but I think ultimately, if you can't read what's going on, it's not going to benefit you.
True. Well, I didn't play baseball. I was over the weight limit, so they wouldn't let me play. No, I'm joking. So let's tell everybody a little bit about you. So this year you're coaching the 15 Maverick team.
Correct.
So last year you helped a couple of teams. You did the 16 Maverick team kind of towards the end. You helped the 14 Maverick team at the beginning, and then you also helped the 14 Iceman team.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you were kind of going back and forth.
Sure.
And that was the year that you were supposed to be kind of taking off.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you helped 3 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's about how it works.
Yeah.
So tell everybody a little bit about you, kind of your background in volleyball and how you got started.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I got kind of peer pressured into volleyball when I was in high school. Freshman year, I got dragged to a Cal Poly Berkeley NCAA championship match, and my friends were like, "Oh, you got to come try out." And spring for boys sports in high school, it's golf and baseball and track and tennis, and those were all sports that I liked. Maybe not track, but I like tennis and golf and baseball. So I got peer pressured into it, and luckily I had Coach Manny as my coach freshman year. And
that's how old he is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. He's older than me.
Yeah, he's old. Yeah. But it was the best decision I'd ever made for myself. I got dragged in. I made the team, and I didn't really play much that first year, but I fell in love with it. Manny made it really, enjoyable for me. And so,
wait, what year was it? Your freshman year?
My freshman year. Yeah. Okay, I never really played
right.
until freshman year of high school. So, ended up making varsity sophomore year, played all the way through on the varsity team.
You're a middle?
I was outside in high school, but I ended up going to Liberty University and playing on the men's club team where I played middle for the year. Our middle actually got married during the middle of the season. So, I kind of got moved because I had some middle experience in club. But, and then I came back. I started coaching club at 18 years old. Actually, I was the TA for the girls volleyball class at SLO High my junior and senior year. So my coaching experience started when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Manny was the varsity coach of the girls at the time. So I was his assistant coach for 2 years as a TA for the volleyball class.
While you're in high school?
While I was in high school. Yeah. And, that junior year, it was more shag balls, hit serves, hit down balls.
Yeah, but you're in the gym.
Yeah. I was learning from Manny. I was helping him run the drill so he could get feedback, right?
Yeah.
And then senior year, I had a little bit more impact, but it was still, the same age as the kids. So that kind of started my coaching career.
And then your first high school coaching job was at St. Joe?
Yeah, St. Joe, 2014.
Yeah,
2013.
That's the first time I saw you.
Yeah,
and I tell Susan this story every once in a while. I'm like, the first time I saw Chip, I really didn't like him.
Yeah. I get that a lot. Yeah.
Because you're this young kid.
I was
confident, like just had that like volleyball kind of swag to you. And just immediately walking in the door, I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was definitely a different coach then than I am now. I would say I was maybe more of a cheerleader coach at that time. I was always talking. I was always loud. I was walking up and down, and I still do that stuff. But that group needed something like that. And so I kind of had to be that to establish, I was taking over for a coach who had been there for a long time.
Yeah.
So I kind of needed to create a new identity for the program.
Right.
So I kind of went over the top a little bit.
Right.
But as I grew as a coach, I kind of changed, maybe pulled back a little bit on the reins there.
You're a whole different coach now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And to be fair, this, most people I meet immediately I don't like. So yeah,
it's fair.
So,
yeah.
I have to grow on you or vice versa. So after you coached at St. Joe, you moved to AG then?
Correct. Yeah. I coached at St. Joe's, I think for 2 or 3 seasons. And then same situation, longtime coach at AG, retired, mentioned to the AD that I might be somebody that could be good for the program.
Yeah.
I actually turned that job down twice. And then had a kind of realization, like, why am I turning this job down? It's a great program.
Right.
A winning tradition. Yeah. And so I ended up taking it. It was a great choice. I was there for 3 years, took a break in between, and then came back for 3 years after that.
And you were in the era where AG was the school that's just beating everybody.
Yeah, I would say in the beginning of my tenure there, that was when we were the most successful. Had a really good group of seniors and juniors that first year. My second year there, I had 7 seniors that were just unbelievable. So I inherited a pretty good, talented group of kids, but definitely, a difference in the program and the identity of the program when I stepped in compared to the other coach, who's a great coach and has a long tradition of winning. So
and then club, right? So you moved into a club that was in South County, Santa Barbara County, right?
Yeah,
that was your first club.
Yeah, they were out of Grover Beach, is where we practiced at.
Way out in Grover Beach.
Yeah, way out in Grover, Grover Beach.
Yeah. Who lives there? Yeah.
But I started there as soon as I came back from Liberty.
Right.
I had the club director reached out and just, hey, heard you're back in town. Somebody recommended you if you're interested in coaching. And at that time, I wasn't sure where my playing career was going to go.
Right.
So any way I could get into the sport, I wanted to. And actually,
you still wanted to play?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I still wanted to, but I also didn't know what to do. I just moved back from Virginia.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, there's no Cuesta team. I didn't know I knew that Cal Poly had a club team, but I wasn't going to Cal Poly. I don't think Hancock had anything at the time. Right. So I was just kind of, I just want to stay in the sport until I figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so actually it was Erin Alves, who's one of our flight coaches. Yeah. She was the club director that reached out, and Coach Nick was also one of the coaches there. So I coached with Coach Nick. We had a group of boys that we coached. That was the first club team that I coached, and Erin asked me to come over and help her with her girls teams, and I've pretty much been coaching girls volleyball ever since. That was 14 years ago. It's crazy. I know.
Yeah, it's a long time. I mean, moving here 2008. I mean, I don't even want to do that math. That's terrible. So after that, you coached with Coach Aaron. Then you moved into a club that was in. That's where you and I really.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Like officially met. Yeah. We coached together at the.
We knew of each other, but
we knew of each other, and we came together and started coaching together in SLO. And then you were at Cal Poly for a little bit, right?
Yeah. I coached the women's club team there for 2 years. We won a national championship in the 1AA division that first year I was there. And then I ended up being the volunteer assistant for a year, for the 2019, 2020, for the D1 team.
Yeah. And then you and I coached together. Was it our first team together we took to nationals?
Yeah, that was our first time really coaching together. I had kind of stepped in because you were also coaching with Coach Nick, and I had a practice I think before you guys, and I would stay after and hang out with you guys and practice with your team, and that's when we really connected. And I was like, oh, this could be a really good coaching situation, and we ended up taking a team and qualifying for nationals that next year.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah.
Coming back from Indianapolis will always be fun, and the kind of episodes we had down there and situations and scenarios. I mean, it was a great time. That was so much fun. So I'm going to go a little off script here because it's you. So you and I are the originators of Flight Academy, and why don't you tell the story of how Flight Academy got its name?
So how I remember it,
how you remember it,
is we were sitting around hanging out, and we knew that we were going to do this. We wanted to start a club, and we were like, we need like a one word name. Like there's all these clubs. I
know you remember what Flight Academy almost was.
It was like Central Coast, and I'm like every you could pull up the phone book and everybody's
I'm thinking
Coast.
Marketing. Right?
Totally. Yeah. But then when I finally got you off the Central Coast idea,
it was a CCVA.
Yeah, because we did that
Academy.
senior showcase, and it was the Central Coast Senior Showcase, and I was like, we can't do two things central back to back. We got to switch up the naming a little bit there.
Right.
But then I remember you were like, well, if we're not going to, we got to have like a one word name that everybody remembers. Right. And it's got to be like, there are clubs like we were talking about, like Vibe, and like Club V, like there's things that stick out in your mind, and you're like, and then we were like, it's got to be like a verb.
Right.
And I remember, and you were like, what's it like jump?
Right.
Yeah. And you were, and then I'm pretty sure that I said flight. And then you said Flight Academy.
Right, because I wanted Central Coast Volleyball Academy.
Yes, that's what it was.
And you said flight, so we brought Academy. So that's how it came about.
Because you said jump, and that's what got the word flight into my mind. And at the time, I was working in aviation, so and you were around too. So
didn't this conversation happen in an airplane though?
No. It was in a living room.
It was in a living room.
Yeah, we were in a living room. We had made that decision. This is what we're doing. We need a name.
Right.
And your jump or spike or something. And I said flight. Then you said Flight Academy.
Right.
And then we're both like, how cool would it be if we made it like Top Gun? and it stuck.
Because that was the whole era where we were in planes and doing that
Absolutely,
stuff. So we're just a couple of nerds flying in Cessnas thinking they're fighter jets.
And then calling each other Maverick and Iceman.
Maverick, Iceman, and Goose. And that's
here we are.
That is how Flight Academy, the name, originated. That conversation between both of us, we'll take 50-50 credit on that.
I love it.
Yeah, that's right. I just know that was the era of doing. So you were actually working in aviation at that time. We were flying back and forth doing, trips and stuff for clients, and that was a blast.
Yeah, it was like the heart of COVID too. So I mean, we were just doing what we could while we could. I mean, it was just such an interesting time, and so
it was insane.
Yeah, and we knew that we had to do something for the kids because they weren't playing. They were just kind of stuck at home with Zoom for school, and I mean, that kind of really motivated us to do it in the first place, and then everything else kind of fell into place after that.
And then so when we originally started, it was just going to be you and I kind of doing administrative. We wanted one coach to be with us, a good friend of ours, and Coach Weber, and we were like, okay, we're going to have a 17s team. That's all we want. We're going to put it out there.
Yeah.
And then the first day of Tryout. So this is pre, internet, and we didn't have a website. We had nothing. We had paper. We had word of mouth.
I think we eventually got a website up because that's how we did registration. It was like very janky,
a sheet of some sort.
Yeah, it was. But everything we did was off of paper because we could only just screen grab whatever we had, right? So that's what we did.
Did they prepay? Because we had that big line. So
yes, they did. I think they prepaid for the clinics. I don't know about tryouts.
Tryouts. So we had no clue. We had no clue what Flight Academy was going to be. We honestly thought we were going to have one team. And, tryouts were in SLO at the hangar. And, man, I just remember walking out, we had, the registration table out front, and I looked, and there's a line around the corner of kids. We had, I don't know, 70 or so.
Oh, there was a
70
ton.
or 80.
Yeah, I remember my now wife was working the front door, and we were just like, oh my gosh, there's so many kids here.
We were so late starting the first tryout.
We had no idea the turnout. We were hoping to have one team, and I think we had 4 or 5.
So 5 girls, 2 boys.
Yeah.
5 girls, 2 boys.
And we were like, we hope.
Crossing our fingers for one.
For one. And there was just another option for people, and it was great. Yeah, but I remember that first day just kind of being like, oh my gosh, what do we get ourselves into
Well,
here?
I mean, we knew it. We knew that there was more need for volleyball, and my girls, where I was coaching high school at the time, needed a place to play.
Yeah.
They talked to me like, hey, I want to play, I want to do this, and we just needed another or more clubs. There was already, there's one in Tascadero, there was one in SLO, one in
like Santa Maria
area, or in a couple. So we just needed more.
Yeah, I remember that 15 Maverick team I took the first year. I think I had half the team had played club before,
right,
and the other half had never played club. Maybe did like clinics and stuff, but had never been on a travel team before.
Right. Yeah. That's how we got started. Yeah, I just remember hoping we were going to have one team.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to do this?
Fingers crossed, making calls, doing what we could. Yeah, it was
making
it
work. Yeah. And so now we're 23, 24 teams total, boys and girls.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Plus the clinics with the little Mavericks that we got. And
and I counted, we have 41 kids going to playoff college now.
That's insane. In the 5 seasons that we've had.
5 years.
5 years. That's incredible.
Yeah. So luckily we did it, when we did. And it was tough too, hiding the fact that we were out and about because it was COVID, and I didn't say that. Sorry. Well, we were doing it right. We had that scanner. You had to check the
thermometer,
the temperature and stuff. So before you could walk in the building, and
we even made Flight Academy masks. I don't know if you remember that. I remember. And we passed them out.
Bailey had one on. She had just the flight logo in the front. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been a worse time for us to start the club.
But I also think it was the best time because there wasn't a lot going on, and we were doing our own thing at a time where nobody was really doing anything. So, I mean, it maybe wasn't the best time to be thinking about creating a new indoor sport club.
Right.
But I think it was also the perfect time because we reached so many people who were looking for those outlets. Yeah. So it was kind of a mixed bag there of right time,
good and bad,
weird time.
I guess the bad part was, logistically, it was so tough to get.
They even delayed the league. That SCVA, they pushed tournaments back, and it was
playing tournaments in masks and having to do the shot and
there
stuff.
There was a while where they like saran wrap nets so nothing could spew through the net.
There's saliva going through.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was such a nightmare.
Different era.
Such a nightmare. Yeah. Hey, but here we are. All right, so let's move on. So you're coaching the 15 Maverick, this coming up season. Talk to me a little bit, or talk to everybody a little bit about, what's your season look like? What do you do? Actually, let's start with tryouts.
Okay.
What do you look for at tryouts? How does somebody stand out in your eyes? You're a very fair coach, right? So,
try to be.
And you're going to take a certain type of player, and who is that going to be?
Well, I think obviously, like, you got to look at the talent of the player, right? I mean, that's you got to see that this kid can play, right. and I think as much
wants to play,
but I think as much weight as the physical talent that they currently are at the tryout, there's just as much weight as how you communicate in between reps, how you're hustling to and from reps. Those little things that we really can't coach as coaches, those kind of intangible qualities. Are you a leader? Are you a supportive teammate? Are you a hustler? I kind of look to kind of see what each player has outside of just their physical ability to play the sport. And I think that that's really important when creating a team, because you're also kind of creating a culture at the same time. So, right. Obviously you want to put the most competitive team out there, but I think, I would always rather take the second best player with a great attitude than the best player with just a horrible attitude. So I kind of try to look for those things. And I try to give that equal weight to what I see, talent wise as well.
We're talking about that culture, the whole, flight is family thing.
Yeah.
We wanted the same things, and I think that's why it worked so well.
Absolutely.
But the flight, I'm not even sure how the flight is family kind of came about. You know what I'm saying? We have that culture. We have the family culture, but we didn't start the flight as family. Initially. It just kind of rolled into flight as family. I don't know if it was like
somebody
hashtag.
said it in passing or something.
Somebody said in passing, and it just kind of blew up. And you know what's true? So far, everybody that's come in to do the podcast and all the coaches, and we know them all.
Yeah,
we all have the same type of personality, and we all want the same things, and that's kind of how the club is genuinely.
Yeah,
there's no everything that we talk about. It's not fake.
No,
everybody
totally.
genuinely wants the best for the kids, and we want the culture to be good. And early on, there were some things that I was upset at, and you would tell me, dude, let it go.
Yeah, totally.
Just let it go.
Yeah,
and let it be. So. Yeah, I think the culture is a huge part of why we are how we are.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is that the coaches are all friends. Like we're all friends, and we're all here to help each other out. And I think that because it's coming from the leadership, it's coming from the board. Even I think it's easy that culture seeps down into the team levels as well. So it's not just flight is family from each team. It's genuinely the coaches. We all care about each other's well-being and check in with each other and hang out. I know how close the board members are as well, and most of them are coaches too. So it really is from the leadership down. It's just a really great culture.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Flight Academy is a nonprofit organization. We do have a board of directors. It's a group of amazing people that come together, and we talk about everything. Every month we come together. It's not always a fun conversation, but I think going through those situations with the board has made us even stronger.
Yeah, right? And I think even through any disagreement, through any whatever, I think the core of everything, all the actions, all of the points of discussion have all just come from a place of wanting to grow this club and do what's best for the kids and help them grow into the best young adult volleyball player that they can be. Yeah.
I 100% agree. Everybody wants the same thing, but sometimes they want it in a different way.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So that's where it changes.
Sure.
Awesome. So let's talk about, after somebody makes your team, let's talk about your practices. I know you're the practice plan king, right?
I don't know about that.
Well, pretty good. So I am a paper pre guy. You're a grease board guy.
I love my whiteboards.
You do love your whiteboard. So talk to everybody a little bit about like how you structure your practices and what can they expect.
Yeah, I think what I like to do, my big rule that I try to follow is I want there to be volleyballs going over the net no more than 15 minutes into practice. Like the warm-up needs to be quick. We need to have some sort of serve or butterfly or some sort of drill where the ball is crossing over the net within the first 15 minutes of practice. I think that's really important. I think with my high school teams, it's a little bit easier because I can tell them to get there early and stretch while JV or freshmen are going on. And then it's, okay, practice time has started. You've finished your warm-up. We're going right into this drill. But I think it's important that you're getting into a more volleyball-like warm-up within those first 15 minutes. Right. And then I try to do some sort of warm-up drill followed by a small group game. I really, really love positional tutoring or some sort of situational tutoring. I love doing that in the first half of practice and then coupling that with some sort of either 6-on-6 game or small group game that incorporates the things that we worked on in those tutoring sessions. So I would say the first hour, it's a good warm up, small group stuff, whether it's positional tutoring or fast threes or some sort of competitive game. And then I like to try to have my last 45 minutes to an hour be 6-on-6. Usually I try to do about 50 minutes of 6-on-6 if I can. That's an ideal time. And then the last 10 minutes are a cool down serving. I think I like to have a 6-on-6 followed by going through serving. Just you're tired. It's the end of practice. You got to hit 10 serves with your last 5 in a row or something like that. So I like to have some sort of cool off if I can. If I feel like the 6-on-6 has a lot of good things coming out of it, there's good momentum. We're really learning from it. I'll let that run out practice. I'm notorious for kids getting home leaving the gym 20 minutes after gym time, just because I always like to talk and recap stuff.
The chip chats.
The chip chats. Yeah. Exactly. The chip chats. But that's really how I structure, just small group teaching positional stuff for the first half, and then competitive at the second half, trying to incorporate the things that we're emphasizing in the first part of practice into that second part of practice.
I like that. I did that for a while. At the end of my practice, I did I didn't call it a cool down serving. I just did it, it finished with serving.
Yeah.
I got away from it. I should probably get back to doing that. I like that.
Yeah, there's different. I mean, like I said, a lot of times I'll stray away from that if I feel like 6-on-6 is just going so great.
Yeah, they're just killing it.
I don't want to take away from that. If I feel like, hey, we're at a good point, we've gotten everything we could out of this drill. Maybe teams are starting to get a little squirrely and laughing a little. Okay, let's focus in. Let's hit 10 serves with our last 5 in a row before we leave.
What would you say your favorite drill is?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I think my favorite drill, and the one I think I get the most flack for, is I love ball setter, ball hitter. I absolutely love ball setter, ball hitter. It can be a little bit slower, and it's something I like to typically do as the first 6-on-6 drill that we do. But I think that there's just so much you can get from ball setter, ball hitter. You can focus on running your offense. You can focus on your blockers and their reading. I mean, obviously that's the name of the drill is the eye progression. You can work on your defensive placement. And, a lot of the times when I'm working on defense, I'll just say, hey, setters, we're only running 4s and 3s or 4s and 1s. And we're emphasizing how do we defend against a team that's running maybe even like a quick go and a gap. How do we do that? So I love that because we can slow it down and let the ball, the rally continue, but we can really get whatever we want out of that drill. I think it's just such a great drill, and it's not focused on one thing. You can change it however many ways you want to emphasize the point you're trying to get across.
You got to exercise your eye work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it. Just like we're talking about with the split step.
Right.
I think it's a great move, but if you're not reading and reacting effectively, what's the point?
Yeah. So, you coach the 14 Maverick team as well as the 16 Maverick team. So do you run ball setter, ball hitter drills with the 14s?
I do with the 14s. I know we did it a couple of times with them. That's more so just like we would, I was lucky enough to there was 2 other coaches. I was the practice only coach, and Coach Sasha and Coach Jenny were the travel coaches for that group. And so they would each take a side, and I would take a side. I usually ran the drill, and I would focus on the offense, and they would work on the defense. And so I think that's when it's really great, when you can even break it up that way. Like, hey, I'm going to focus on the offense when you're on the side I'm on. I'm only giving you offensive feedback, even though we're continuing the rally out.
Right.
And then vice versa, the coaches on the other side of the net will only give that defensive feedback, that blocking feedback, and for those, the amount of time that each player is on that side. I think it's a good way to run it.
Are there any drills that you don't like?
I mean, I don't like running drills, especially, I mean, I've done it before, but I don't like drills that go on for a long time where there are a lot of players standing off the court. Yeah, standing around.
Can't stand it.
I want to try to find a way for them to be serving, or maybe they're blocking, maybe they're passing. I get it. Not every drill you run is going to be able to be 6s. You're going to have people waiting in line. So whatever we can do as coaches to minimize that wait time and time in between reps, I think is important. So I don't think there's like a specific drill that I don't like. It's
a good answer though. Standing around, that's a pet peeve. If I walk into practices, and that I kind of pop into practices here and there, quality control, if you will. But when there's 3 players being worked with and talked to, and there's 11 players standing around, it drives me absolutely bananas.
Yeah. And I think too, like it's just a really good, like watching teams that do those, it's a really good indicator for where that team is mentally, because if they're engaged and they're calling balls in and out and yelling, then maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, maybe it's worthwhile. But if they're laughing and chit-chatting and, doing whatever they're doing.
Chatting.
No, I see what you did there. But yeah, I think if a team's mature enough to handle the time off the court, then I think, okay, throw it in every once in a while. But if your team isn't really maybe mentally checked in a lot in practice or whatever, those drills can really just eat up time in practice.
Your energy's pretty infectious. When you're playing, I mean, you're borderline annoying, right? Because you're so loud and you're crazy, but you do that on purpose.
Absolutely. And
that energy carries through how you coach as well. And I think that it goes through your team, and they carry your energy through that. I mean, on the sideline, I watch you in tournaments. You're crazy, you're loud, you're engaging. That's awesome. It's tough for me to do. That's just not my personality. It's in your personality.
Well, it's getting harder for me. I'm getting older, and
I don't have the grumpier energy. You get.
Yeah, absolutely. I might need a Red Bull or whatever before, but yeah, I think sometimes teams really need that beam of energy from the sideline, and if the bench isn't providing it and it's really not out there, I think the coaches can have an effect that way as well.
How do you do it? So give players advice. So we talk about it almost on every podcast that we've had. How do you let the error go and then move on and then keep that same positive energy? Like, what do you do mentally to yourself to play like that?
Well, I really think that like positive outcomes or positive energy provides positive results. Like, if you're only putting out negative, you're only going to get negative.
100%.
And so I think that, sometimes you fake it till you make it, be positive, be upbeat. And it's not always easy, especially after you make, multiple mistakes in a row.
Right.
But I think the only way to continue to have a consistent positive outcome is to put out a positive energy, to put out a positive move, something positive physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, whatever.
Yeah.
Put something positive out there, and then the positive reactions start coming from there.
So what would you say the toughest part of coaching volleyball is? Coaching club volleyball.
I think for me, the toughest part about coaching club is like, it's just like being away from home, honestly, like a little bit selfishly. Yeah. I think, sure. Just like it's a lot. And, when I was younger and really didn't have any roots and I was doing volleyball only full time, it was like, sure, whatever, volleyball a day. That sounds great. Back-to-back weekends in Vegas. Sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
But, now that it's, hey, I've got, a work week. I've got, I'm married now, wanting to start a family, those things, I've now that I've kind of taken a step back from volleyball full time, I've really tried to prioritize other things in my life. And I think that's the hardest thing for me is,
it's only going to get tougher.
Yeah, it's going to get tougher. But I think the tough thing is like when I walk into that gym, that's all I'm about. A lot of times I don't eat. I don't drink enough water. Like I'm just volleyball while I'm there.
Right.
And it's, I'm getting to a point, it's a little tolling on me physically now that I'm getting older, but it's like, I can't, when I'm in that gym coaching, when I'm in that gym for a tournament, that's all I can think about. But I know when I leave, I'm like, man, like I know so-and-so's doing this weekend, but I think in the moment I love it.
Yeah.
But then I get home and I have that like, I missed out on so-and-so's birthday. I missed out on this, I almost had to miss my sister's wedding for volleyball, like
the tournaments, those tournaments in Easter, you miss family stuff and that kind of.
Absolutely. And like I said, when I was younger, whatever.
Sure.
Sorry, Mom, I'll be home for Easter or whenever, we can do something next weekend. But now it's like, I really cherish that time with my family. And as I get older, as my parents get older, brothers, sisters start having kids and seeing nephews and nieces. It's like, man, I love that. I love my family. And I love my volleyball family as well. So being able to split the time between the two is starting to become something that it's a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah, and it's nice that Bailey and Susan will come together. We can go and hang out.
The Volley Wives,
right? Yeah, we'll have a Volley Wives podcast. I've already had a request for different. I've had requests for. Yeah. So this is going to be our 6th or 7th episode after just starting. Mm-hmm. I've had requests for former coaches. I've had requests for Volley Wives. I've had requests for certain players, and but that's good. Everybody wants to get in and get on it. So.
Flight is family.
Flight is family. That's 100% right. So all that being said, I said, when you play, you're borderline annoying.
Yeah.
Past the borderline annoying. But it's in fun, and you talk a lot of trash, and I love it.
Yes, I love it. Yes.
So how do you balance being competitive and having fun for your team?
I think it's just like I want to be the teammate that everyone's like, I love when I play with Chip. And I think that like he works hard, he goes for it, he's high energy. I want to be that teammate for my teammates. And I enjoy it. I love being loud and smack talking and all that stuff, and I think there's obviously a line that you don't cross. There's a difference between, cocky and confident.
You're not insulting.
Yeah. I try. I mean, I might poke a little bit.
Depends on who it is.
I tiptoe the line a little bit.
If it was me, you'd be screaming at me. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I really think, it's just like I know that when I'm playing at my most competitive in a positive way, I can be a good teammate for my teammates, and it's infectious, and it ultimately makes the team better.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I really try to impress upon my teams. It's like, hey, like, be the change you want in your team. If you feel the energy is down, be that energy beam. Yeah. Get like I call, when I coach the girls, be the hype queen. Like, let everybody know what the standard is. Yeah, be the hype queen. Like, be that teammate. And it's and I really, because I've had times where I've been playing where I haven't been that teammate, and somebody hypes me up, and I love that. I'm like, you're right. Yeah. What am I thinking? Of course I'm going to get that kill or whatever it is,
Right, yeah.
And so I think it's just like when I step onto the court, I want to be the best teammate for my team. And I know that means being competitive and having high energy. And so I got to balance that competitiveness, because if I make a mistake, I don't want to get negative again. I want to put positive out, because I think positive outcomes come from positive outbursts. Mm-hmm. So
I get that. Oh, we can hear the dog barking in the background in our studio. Okay, so let's move into kind of a rules, trends, volleyball.
Yeah.
So any trends right now that you think are a little overrated?
I think when head coaches and assistant coaches wear funny outfits. I'm just kidding. Gabby, Eric, I'm kidding.
That is a jab.
Yeah, I know.
That's a jab.
Actually, my 16 Maverick team gave me like a sailor hat to wear at the Vegas tournament this year.
Right.
And I think that's the first time I've ever really like worn something, on the sideline as a coach. And we were winning that set, and I was so angry. Like, I have to keep this hat on, because I'm so superstitious when I coach. Like, right,
of course,
I have to, when I coach,
I change my shoes.
My backpack has to be on the first chair. My water bottle needs to be there. I have like little things that have to happen.
My clipboard has to be out of my backpack.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And so little things like that. And so it's like I put on a captain's hat as a joke for the first 5 points.
Right.
And we went, and we were at 4-1, and I'm like, I'm not taking this hat off for the rest of the
set. You gotta keep it on. Yeah, it's a good lug hat.
Yeah.
So do you remember what we were going to wear to nationals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Adidas velour tracksuits.
Right,
that's a little different. That's comfy after a 4-day tournament. We're not.
I would have been sweating.
I'm not in a Minions outfit or anything like that.
No, I know. It's Eric. He's got guts.
Yeah. No, and I whatever it takes to get your team excited, and again, be that positive burst of energy, whatever it takes. I'm just throwing. I like to poke the bear a little bit there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as trends, I think the one thing that really upsets me is when you pick a side for warm up and the other team in the coin toss asks to switch sides.
Who does that? I mean, come on.
I had it happen twice this last season. Once in Arizona and once in Vegas. Or no, once in when we went to the league championship at Davis. Nothing infuriates me more than, well, if you didn't get the side you wanted, that's your fault.
I know.
But you can do it within the rules. But I think that's something that's a trend that I saw last year that really upset me.
Flipping sides.
My 16 Maverick team from last year can attest to how upset I got for that.
That's just being petty.
Yeah.
What about rules? Are there any rules? If you could change one rule in volleyball, what would it be?
Other than that one, I think I'm kind of torn on the setting changes, and I think Abby brought it up in hers. Like, I think that setters, they should be called for doubles. It's a skill, and I think that it's something that they train on every day, and to be able to have a setter that can set a clean ball consistently is an advantage. But I also think having a setter who can just huck up a ball and not get called for it, I mean, there might be an advantage there too if they can be consistent with how ugly it comes out of their hands, but can locate it still. I think there's a sophistication to having a setter who can set a clean ball, and it's really a game changer. And I think the double rule, while I understand it, it keeps the rallies going and it's letting the kids play, I think at a certain level. Yeah,
but it went to the NC2A first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
at the highest level.
But I also, like, when we go to tournaments and they're like, hey, we're going to let the kids play. Right. I'm like, okay. Like, you set it out. You set it out front. And if you call it consistent, if you're not going to call doubles, don't call doubles.
Right.
But if you're going to choose when you do and when you don't, that's when I have a problem with it.
I agree.
Yeah. But I think the double thing is kind of the big rule. Or the Liberos not using their hands in front of the 10-foot line. I mean, I get it because you could put a setter in a Libero jersey and never have them sub out of the back row. But I mean, like, you got to be a pretty interesting coach to do that.
Yeah, that would take a lot of work outside of the norm.
Yeah.
Right. It would be tough to coach, then to go back and forth. I mean, if you have high IQ players, you can do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Pretty
you just
easy.
make your setter the libero for the oppo and just run it that way. And at that point, it's like, well, you're going to sub in a 6'2" setter anyway, typically. So why not? But I don't know. I think that one, when like how it stands now, when a libero picks a ball up with their hands and a hitter can't hit it in front of the 10-foot line, I don't really feel like that affects the game too much.
So you're not a high school coach anymore, but do you think high school should allow 2 liberos?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that club does that, and I think that it's a great way to create competition even between in tournaments too, because obviously having the ability to only have 1 libero in high school, it's like, well, you got to earn it in practice, and I love that part of it. Yeah, but you got to also keep it with how you're playing, and there are players who are really good practice players, and then when the lights come on and mom and dad are in the stands, they don't play, or vice versa. Sure. Maybe don't practice as well, but turn it up in a game. So I don't see a problem with having 2 liberos, and I think it creates a healthy competition between matches for those players. If you got to play, if you want to play on the court, you got to make plays.
I love it. Last year when I helped out at AG a little bit, and I think I did one of the lineups, and I put 2 liberos on there, or I had 2 liberos in the I forget, it was one of the official, I think Bill, it was, and he's like, "What are you doing? You can't do this." I'm like, "Oh, my bad. It's been a while."
I think maybe that's the rule I would change, is the difference between high school and club. Like whatever, like if we're going to run all high school rules, let's run all high school rules. If we're going to run all club rules, let's run all club rules. But
even at certain club tournaments, they have certain rules, like crossing the center line with the ball, or in how they call the foot over or foot under. I don't know.
Actually, I changed my answer. I know what one rule I would change. It's when you're playing on sport court and you can't start your serve from off the sport court. I feel like
you got to have like a toe on it,
or like a foot. Sometimes
or
it's
a full foot.
But it changes. I feel like it changes by ref.
It's inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that I don't have a problem if they're one step off onto the the asphalt. Let them serve. I don't think that's a big, and it's not their fault. That there's not the
5.5 or 6 feet of space to serve.
I think that would be the rule that I change for club.
And not to bag on any of the tournament directors that are out there, but I know they have officials meetings before these tournaments, but I'm so surprised with the inconsistencies of these guys. Maybe they just forget. I don't know, like with doubles, and me, I do my best to stay calm, but if I feel it's unfair, I'm very vocal.
Absolutely.
The double thing. So especially if a double gets called on me or doesn't, and it gets called on the other side, or you know what I'm saying? And my thing is I always tell officials, hey, just be fair. Yeah. That's all. If you're not going to call them, don't call them. Yeah. If you're going to call them on both sides. Yeah. Call them on me as well. Yeah. Just be fair, and that's what bugs me.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of times when I've seen it, in an advantage for my team where it's not getting called on my team, but getting called, I look at that coach from across the net and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. But I know they can't control it. We can't control it. Mm-hmm. Maybe the setter does need a little bit more work in practice, but it's like you can't control it. Right. We can't control it.
So what do you do? Let's say 15s. Yeah. You have a fairly new setter. Lifting and doubling consistently on the other side, and it's horrendous. Do you let it go, or do you say something?
I think it depends on how the ref is calling it. If the ref is calling it sometimes, and then
if she's bouncing it off her chest, she's just,
if the ref doesn't call it for our side, right, then I'm fine with it. If it's the other team's setter or vice versa, as long as it's fair, as long as it's consistent, that's the only thing I care about, because when you're picking and choosing, you're really creating, even if it's subconsciously, an advantage for another side. Yeah. And it's not always 1 point that wins or loses a match, but if it's continuous 2, 3, 4, there's something to be said. So I think especially at the younger levels, I let it go. But if I know that the refs are calling a little bit tighter for varsity high school, 17s, 18s, I get more vocal with it. But I don't really confront the refs or try to stop play or have the captain go over to the ref unless I feel like, hey, you're not calling it evenly. Right. There needs to be a change. That's when I start getting more upset about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a tough time. With
but it's also like they're kids at the end of the day. Like I don't.
It's the competitiveness in me.
100%.
And being unfair to the kids.
Yeah.
That's just my biggest thing is I turn red. If it's unfair, that's when I start getting mad.
Yeah.
And I'm not bagging on you officials. It's tough. You know,
it's tough.
I get it. You're also there having a long day, 10, 12 hours sometimes at those, and you've done 400 games. And I totally get it, but it's me. No. So let's move on. So where's your favorite place for tournament? What city is your favorite place? Where do you like to go? And what's your favorite tournament?
Nationals.
Of course.
With a qualified division.
Qualified
division.
Yeah.
You're going to hate this answer, but I love the Vegas tournaments. I was born in Vegas. I have family in Vegas. I go to Vegas often. I've been like 5 or 6 times this year already, and I have another trip planned in like a month. Yeah. So I love going to Vegas. I love the team activities because it's so different than when we go to Davis and do a team activity.
Because one restaurant there.
Even the difference in the Top Golfs, because that's kind of the one cliche team activity, right? The difference between the Santa Rosa and the Vegas one, it's just different, and we've had some really cool team activities, but I love the camaraderie between teams because we're all playing at one venue, not always at the same wave, but sometime for league tournaments, we're at different venues on the same dates. But I love Vegas because we're all in the same gym. We usually all stay at the same hotel. And I know that I personally have been with other teams and their coaches when they do team activities. So it's fun to just interact with the whole club who's there for that weekend. So I think Vegas is fun. I know the 7-hour drives, and
I don't make that drive anymore.
Yeah, I get it. I've done it plenty, and I know I will continue to do it plenty. But
the reason why I don't make that drive anymore.
Yeah, and the flights and stuff we can get now from in our area, it's getting better. But I do think that it's a great combination of exposure for the kids, good competition level, and you get to see different teams than maybe you see in a league because there's teams from all over the country going to those qualifiers or those bigger tournaments. So I think the Vegas tournaments are great. I really enjoyed the Arizona tournament we had this last year. I thought that was
Tucson.
Tucson. Yeah, I thought that was good. It was obviously
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a little difficult getting there, but like I know,
we had some issues.
my now wife came with and we were running through the airport to make our connecting flight and all that kind of stuff. But it was just
you took the different flight because you were a late edition.
Yeah,
it took us 16 hours to get there.
Yeah, your flight was scheduled to leave Santa Barbara before mine, and I still took off before you because your plane broke and you had to do the caravan. And I remember walking into the airport, seeing you guys all standing out there, and I was like, "Hey guys, sorry, I don't want to be late for checking in for my flight."
The line.
Yeah, so it's tough going to those far tournaments, but I really do think Vegas is a really good melting pot for all the different things we look for in a tournament.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a trek, and I understand that. I think Manny said this too, like Reno.
So I was going to ask, where's your least favorite place?
I think Reno. I think or like the league tournaments that are in like way off small cities, like 4 or 5 hours away, and it's a one day. Yeah. So like those ones are tough, and I don't really like we're driving 6 hours for one day and driving back, and we're in the car more than we're on the court.
Right.
But if I'm thinking just big 3-day tournaments, I think Reno is maybe my least favorite. Just because team activities,
right?
Not a ton to do.
And some of these bigger clubs don't realize the struggles that we have because they're in LA, they play league, they go and do a couple of, they'll do a Vegas, they'll do a something else, and then they have 1 hour, 2 hour drives because it's LA traffic. We got to travel everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like multiple hours. Like if it's 3 hours, I'm like, we're barely
Sacramento,
going anywhere.
LA, Vegas.
Although I think my favorite tournament, like logistically, that I think is run really well is the JVA Long Beach West Coast Cup.
Everybody brings that one up.
Yeah, I think that's a great tournament. I think they do a great job with that tournament. Every time I've gone there, I've just been like, wow, this is how a tournament's run. Yeah. And usually the competition's been really good. So that's another one that sticks out in my mind. I think
the competition, I said this before, the competition was pretty equal to Tucson.
Yeah.
At the JVA tournament. Yeah.
I agree. That's a great comparison. And I love that tournament. And I remember actually I had to miss that tournament this year because I was on my honeymoon.
Yeah. I guess that's an excuse.
But we landed in LA the day.
No, don't say you were going to stop.
The last day. I swear.
She would have killed you.
I swear I was, my 16s team was in the gold bracket. And I was like, hey, if they make it to the championship, like we're going to be landing and not that far away.
Right.
And she kind of gave me the like, okay.
I guess. Yeah.
I guess.
I'll be nice. We just got married.
Yes. Obviously we that was not a great thing I tried to push for, and we ended up not going. But I think that tournament, I mean, they update the scores quick, and it's just so well run that I was able to be in another country following along with what's going on and being like, hey, maybe I can make it when I land.
I think Bailey sent a video out of you watching a game from like an ocean.
Our honeymoon, we had our private villa in Fiji, and I put my phone on a tripod on our deck that overlooking a jungle with a river running through it in the ocean. And I have a drink in my hand, and I'm watching my 16s team play.
That's awesome.
With the view in the back, just on my phone, and she took a video of me watching it. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
So we talked about tournament, cities and your favorite place, your least favorite place. Volleyball. What does Chip do besides volleyball?
I think I've been.
Sorry to cut you off. And congratulations for just getting married.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And your wonderful wife now,
yeah,
Mrs. Blaney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be a part of that. I'll tell you a story about after when I left, off camera. Obviously, everybody had a great time, and it was super fun. So thank you for including me in that. That was great.
Yeah,
that was wonderful.
Gotta have you guys there. Yeah.
So congratulations. Sorry about. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I even forgot what the question was.
So what do you do outside of volleyball?
Oh yeah, I think one thing that I've been really trying to prioritize is spending more time with my family, and spending more time with my wife and doing those things that I kind of put on hold for a while. I think I kind of went down the rabbit hole of volleyball for better part of a decade, and that was kind of what I wanted to do for the longest time, was just only do that. And I think I just kind of burnt myself out for a while. So I think I've, over the last couple of years been really prioritizing family time and, traveling and doing things with my family and doing things with my wife. I love golf. It's one of my favorite sports to do outside of golf. I still pick up shifts at Dairy Creek Golf Course just so I get free golf out there and free top tracer. I love going to the movies. It's something that I've been really trying to do a lot more. Is I love going to movie theaters. I mean, obviously Top Gun is my favorite movie and one of my, inspirations for everything that we did.
Which one do you like better, the first one or the second one? Maverick?
I think I love the second one.
Me too.
I love the second one, but there's just that first one had such a spot, for me in my heart for the longest time. It's hard to dethrone that one, but I think it's 1A, 1B. Right. They did a very great job with the second one. But I love movies. I love bad TV. So I just going to the movie theaters, seeing movies. I love that stuff and that kind of entertainment. So,
do you think movies are going to stick around? Going to the movie theater is going to stick around?
I hope so. I think streaming during COVID kind of took off and kind of killed it for a bit. Yeah. It's really hard to make the movies they used to make back in the day because now nobody's buying DVDs and everybody's streaming. So it's really tough for those kind of art house or like films and not movies. It's hard for them to make those now. So I hope they stick around. I would so much rather go see a movie in the theater than just watch it at home. Although I do enjoy watching it at home, of course. But I hope so. One of my favorite gifts I ever got was for my birthday, and I invited you and some of the other flight coaches. My wife got me a private screening of any movie of my choosing in Atascadero at the theater out there. And of course we watched Top Gun, of course. But there's just something about being in the chair, whether it's a recliner or not, and thing of popcorn and all that stuff. that just hits home.
What's the one with the moving chair?
Like the RDX or something.
Something like that. Yeah. And just the technology and stuff out there. And the big giant screen, the super loud bass. And it's I do. It's just me. I don't like people. I'm not, you know what I mean? Just like crazy around and talking and at home.
I get it.
You can tell the dog to shut up or put it in the room. And, but people talking in there and they're just.
I get it.
But the experience, if it's nice and quiet and you can watch the movie, it's great.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I did go see, I think I remember when the very first Avengers came out.
Yeah.
And there was a big. Did I go with you?
Yeah. We went to
a bunch of people.
Yeah, Infinity Wars together in Reno. We were
in Reno. It was in Reno. People were clapping, and it was like so that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, and I remember growing up when movies were just such an experience. Like I remember seeing Spider-Man at the Fremont Theater when they showed movies, and people were cheering and jumping, and it's a packed house, and there's just such a buzz about watching, an action movie like that you just don't really get nowadays. I think the last movie I saw in a large crowd was like the Barbie movie, and I was like, but that's not one that you're like, it's not an action. It was a great movie, but it was just, there's just something about being in that atmosphere that's just I really love.
And taking this back to volleyball, and the experience that you're talking about. So I'm like, we watched that movie together. Yeah. We were at a tournament.
Yeah.
We were around volleyball. I mean, yes, that's what we do. But if you go back from when you were playing and then moving into coaching, it is a big, giant family for us. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of other clubs out there like that. And the flight coaches, I think it's a pretty special group because we do genuinely care. We do hang out with each other. Totally. We do have a lot of fun. And we try to instill that into all the players that become a part of the club.
100%. Yeah. And those are, we talk about all the dinners after tournaments when we carpool together. Yeah. The conversations in the carpool.
The Tom Brady conversation.
Yeah. All the good stuff.
That was 6 hours of me giving you so much crap.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great though. But it's just the camaraderie of it between the coaches is just, that's what I love about it. And that's why it's hard for me to completely just remove myself. Like I said, I was supposed to take the last season off, to just focus on my wedding and my job. I started a new role, and I ended up helping with 3 teams in the year I was supposed to not.
It's just in your blood. It's in your heart. And by the way, Tom Brady, I was on your side on that one. If you'll never see this podcast, I'm sure, but I was supporting Tom Brady.
Okay. All right. We have video evidence to prove otherwise, but
that I was not supporting Tom Brady. I was on your side.
Okay. You say so. It doesn't mean you're right, but you're on his side.
All right. It doesn't mean I'm right. But yeah, so this club's pretty special. Yeah. I think you and I created not exactly what we envisioned, but pretty damn close.
Yeah. But I think that's what's so great is because we had it was a group effort. It was in the beginning, it was you and I, and then we brought in, like the Zimmermans, and we brought in, Ray Hayes and other people. And I think that's what has really helped it grow is that it wasn't one person or even just one thought or one vision. It was everybody helping to contribute and helping to grow it into something. And, for right or for wrong, for whatever, like I like something that I thought was better for the club than something you had. But at the end of the day, the conversation and putting the kids in the club first is ultimately what's helped it grow. So I think that it's been great that way.
Yeah. Bringing Courtney and Ryan on, they were all the boys. Yeah. They wanted to do that part, and you and I were focused on getting the girls' side. So that just kind of came together. We all had the same vision. They had one side, we had the other.
Totally.
There was always a joke that used to make Courtney so upset when I was like, "We have a boys program."
That's right.
She gets so mad. She still gets mad at me for that.
I'm sure.
And, in the board meeting, she's like, "We still have boys." You know.
But that's what's so great about fly. I mean, like I coached with Courtney. She was when she first moved back to the area with Ryan. She assisted me at AG, and that's how I met her. And Manny was my coach. John Wintermeyer coached me as well, and I played against Cam, and my first coaching experience was with Nick, and like there's just I remember meeting Caleb in open gyms, and Matt Weber showed up randomly to an open gym that we had and played, and we're just like, who is this guy? And it's just cool that it's like we all met so organically through this one vehicle that's volleyball, and it's just been a really great experience, and I think that the kids and the families are getting to see that as well.
Have we had anybody that's just left? Everybody stay, like from the core, I think.
From the core,
we're all here.
Yeah, I think so, and that was a big thing. Is everybody was like, hey, whatever we got to do, we'll volunteer our time to help grow the club, and I remember having the conversation with them. Hey, we think maybe
we can't pay you.
We have one coach, like maybe if we have a team, and everybody was like, we'll help you grow it. Like we would rather volunteer our time with you to help you grow this club than do anything else. And that was what I really think that was what really launched us.
Yeah, just all like-minded people. Everybody loves volleyball.
Yeah.
Including spouses. As much as they say, not volleyball again, they love it. They know that you love it.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? So, and Susan and I met after Flight Academy, and I told her, like, hey, just to let you know, this is the big part of my life that I'm doing, and I leave a lot, and I dedicate a lot of time into this. I'm not going to, just let it go to the wayside. What we built, and me especially, being on the board and being a director and being a coach, and this year last year we created the Phoenix teams, and this year I wanted to continue the Phoenix teams.
Yeah.
And I needed a coach, so I'm taking practices, twice a week, an hour away from my house to go. So I'm driving to Santa Barbara County from here. And
how great is that Phoenix program? I mean, I think that's one of the cooler things that we've done is be able to get down to that Santa Ynez Valley.
And getting Travis and Tolby, kind of the guys that helped mold that whole thing.
Yeah.
Travis's daughter coming and playing for our 17s team, and like, hey, we need volleyball down there. And you know us. Yeah. Let's do it.
I remember, one of my last seasons at AG playing against Santa Ynez, and they were tough. And I remember telling, those two guys and even Coach Amelia, the head coach for the varsity team there, I was like, you guys are building a program, and you guys are doing it right, and it's exciting. And I know that I want to help you any way that I can. Obviously, I got to prioritize, my AG program or whatever the case may be. And it was it was a really great coming together between the northern Santa Barbara County and integrating them with Flight Academy, but also letting them do what they've been doing and continue to grow those programs.
It's been awesome. Since Flight Academy started, I would say in San Luis Obispo County, there's 3 big clubs, right? Us and the 2 others. And they all do such a great job. Yeah, and it's fun to see. All these kids playing, and we see the uniforms, like, hey, they're so-and-so club, and we go and support their kids, and especially we see them at high school and they play for a different club. Yeah. It's just fun to watch.
Well, how many times have we gone to a tournament and the championship or like the bracket final match is between our team and another team from our area? And it's like we have 20 to 24 kids that are all competing for something meaningful at these tournaments where if there weren't multiple opportunities there'd only be half that or less than that amount of kids being able to have that experience. And I think it's just so cool that, obviously driving to Vegas to play a team that's in the same city isn't ideal.
Parents hate that.
But it's also like, like we're in this great environment and there's something to it. It's a little bit different than, okay, we're just going to drive 20 minutes to play. We came all the way to Vegas.
Right.
I'm going for it.
And we competed to get in that same spot or lost.
But it makes the volleyball in our area just it helps it grow.
It does. And we'll never have the numbers like LA and but that's good.
Yeah.
We have good quality, high quality volleyball at all these levels.
And it's getting better, and it's starting to not just be a powerhouse school or club. It's seeping throughout the county.
Yeah. So Central Coast volleyball, including Santa Barbara County. It's just getting better. I'm excited to see, Mission Prep this year is going to be amazing. Yeah. Slow is always good. They're always a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. San Ynez is going to be really good. Mm-hmm. AG is going to be really good. Yeah. All these programs, and hey, Flight Academy had a little part in that too.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm super stoked on that. All right, so that was your hobbies. We kind of got off a little bit into movies and stuff like that and philosophies. Who's your coaching role model?
It's a good question. I've been pretty fortunate to have learned from some pretty great coaches over my volleyball coaching and playing career. John Hastings was kind of the first, varsity coach that I kind of really had experience with. He was great. Jonathan Willis, my coach at Liberty, really kind of showed me a whole new style and brand of volleyball than I had ever seen out here in California, which was really cool, and something that has really impacted my coaching style. And just kind of through coaching College Club and coaching Cal Poly, I just met a lot of really great people. But if I had to pick one coach that's really, like, I would not be here today without that coach, it's Coach Manny. I think by far, he's been the most impactful in my life for sure.
He's fun to be around.
Oh yeah, he's just a great guy. Yeah. And having him my freshman year, and then I had him as my varsity coach my senior year. So, and like I said, I didn't play freshman year.
Right.
But he made it enjoyable. And like I would for whatever reason, I was always like the last kid to get picked up from practice.
Yeah.
And he would stay and we would play basketball together. Like he was, I just got to know him really well. And, he's been a great role model in my life, but he's also become a really close friend. And I think that's what's cool is that, he's not just a coach. He's a person in my life.
He still texts everybody.
Yeah.
Like, people that play for him for years. He's
Totally.
like, oh, I know so-and-so from Cal Poly in 2015. I'm like, you're still texting these guys? Like, I forget their names, so.
Yeah. He's just a good dude. Like, and just, like people, oh yeah, I know Manny. And I wouldn't be here today without Manny. Yeah. I mean, really, he's, I can point to several times in my life where he's helped me as a coach, helped me as a player. And it was really cool getting to coach with him this last year with the 16 Mavericks.
Manny. I'm glad he's a part of us, of our program too.
I remember because he'd been doing the Cal Poly boys, and he's like, I don't really coach girls volleyball. And we're like, well, we're running these clinics. We'll put you with the older girls, so it's higher level. You should come. And he saw the talent that was coming out. He's like, hey, I could. And he's been doing it ever since. And I remember he was a little reluctant. I think I was playing golf with him, and I was like, hey, you should come coach a clinic. Like, help us grow. And here he is, still coaching with us, boys and girls.
All right, so we're getting a little long here. Let's wrap it up. So, what are you looking forward to the season?
I'm looking forward to competing. I think I had a really great experience with the 14 Maverick team, and I'm excited to see who shows up and who shows out at tryouts.
Now, you requested this team.
I did.
You reached out because I thought you were going to take a break. I was going to let him take a break. I did say, hey, I'll take you back. Yeah. Right. And then you're like, well, if I come back, I wanted this team. So you saw a lot of potential.
I see a lot of potential in that age group, and I really enjoyed that team, and I hope that team comes and earns their spot back again this year. I'm not just going to take them because I like them, and I'm not going to because they made the team last year. I think I want them to compete, and I want to push them, and I'm excited to see who else comes in that age group because I know that incoming freshman class has some talent across the county. Yeah, and so I think it's going to be a difficult team to make, and I want to nurture that competitiveness in an environment that promotes growth at the same time. So I'm really excited for that blend of competitiveness, but also in that growth stage as well. Yeah. I think that's kind of where I like to be as a coach, is kind of right on that cusp of potential, but still needs some basics.
Yeah. I'm excited too. I hear you're getting an awesome assistant coach too. So.
I hope so. Is that official? Are you announcing that?
Yeah, we're not going to announce it.
Okay. All right.
We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And so we just need to wrap up here. Are you going to offer any like private lessons or anything like that? Or
I've done a few. I've been doing them at Loma Vista. I have like all the requirements that the gym has, and so I've been booking through their platform. I haven't done a ton, but weekdays are tough, except after 5. Weekends I'm relatively open, but I need some notice to make sure I'm giving up time on a weekend. But I'm open to it. Absolutely.
So like all the Flight Academy coaches, you can get a hold of them through their email. It's just, so it'd be Chip at flightacademyvb.com. You can shoot him an email and just say, hey, I saw you in the podcast. I myself or my daughter or son wants to get some private lessons, and you guys can arrange that. So feel free to reach out to Coach Chip. The actual OG from Flight Academy right here. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And everybody that's watching, I think the podcast is taking off. We're getting tons of views and people are liking it. I'm getting, text messages and requests already to come on the podcast. Now that we have our professional studio going on here. So this is super awesome. I'm so excited to continue doing this for everybody. Let me know if you have any questions. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things. I'm still getting used to it. I'm brand new to this. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next time.
See you.